to you by Cup Foods and Affinity Plus.
You have to do it. You got to want to do it right now.
Now, it's the pj-fleck-show with Pierre Nugent, Ron Johnson, and Justin Guard.
Let's roll. And welcome everybody into the PJ Fleck Show, joined as always by the head coach of Gopher football, PJ Fleck, alongside Gopher wide receiver, Hall of Famer, superstar extraordinaire Ron Johnson, K-Fans Justin Guard.
Row the boat polo wear.
Row the boat polo. I'm Pierre Nugent. Welcoming everybody to the PJ Fleck Show. We are 7 games into the college football season. The Gophers are 4 up and 3 down. The latest coming against Penn State over the weekend, a tough outing out in Happy Valley. Coach, you've had a chance now to look over the film and kind of go over what went down in Happy Valley. From your perspective, what went wrong against the Nittany Lions on Saturday?
First of all, they're a really good football team. Ethan got a lot of good experience for us, which was really good to get him out there. We just didn't play complementary football very well, and we didn't execute well, and we didn't get in rhythm very often. We were behind the chains on offense very early. We had probably 4 or 5 false start penalties within the first 20-some plays. For us, that's not how we're going to win games. And, it was unfortunate for us that we started behind those chains. We still had the lead 3-0, 17-10 at halftime. We have, a negative play, and then we come out and throw an interception after that, and they just continue to score after that. So it's unfortunate, but there was a lot of really good things we pulled out of that game and a lot of things we can keep getting better at.
And when you look at this game, for anybody coming in as a quarterback, that's one of the toughest environments to play in. Freshman, a senior, it doesn't matter. But I saw a lot of Tanner Morgan, Ethan Caligmanis on the sideline talking. So going into this next game, what is Tanner Morgan's status right now?
Well, he's in the control of the medical team. He was at practice today, which was good to have him out there. But those are all the medical decisions that are way above me. So he's a wonderful leader, and I think that's what you saw on the field. He's incredibly selfless, where even though he's not playing in the game, he's down there with Ethan and coaching him up, and I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
Ethan kind of reminded me of Zach Annexstad a little bit from years ago. I know comparisons steal your joy, but when I say that, it's kind of the looseness that I felt from him, like he'd been doing this his entire life. There's 109,000. None of them are wearing what Ron's wearing. This is a nice shirt, by the way. All white. It's crazy loud. He just looked very calm, like he'd been doing it his whole life. What did you see from him from that standpoint?
Well, we said before that if there's one guy on our team that can actually go into that environment, play quarterback, and not be rattled, it's him. And that's a complete compliment to him and what he's about, what he's bringing to the future of Gopher football. There was a lot of really good things he did on the field on Saturday. There really was. Now, it was hidden behind the score. But when we break it down in the film-wise, he played with poise. He's got a huge arm. He was incredibly accurate in a lot of throws. He was able to move the ball with his feet. He was able to scramble. He's got to get a little bit more comfortable in the pocket, stay in the pocket when you need to, not get out of it when you should stay in it. But there was a lot of really good things, and he didn't seem rattled at all. And I think that's a huge win for us for the future of the program, not necessarily just today, but that was huge for us moving forward.
After the game, you said it was a disappointing performance from a defensive perspective. You even went on to say you didn't like how we played after the game. What didn't you like from a defensive standpoint?
Yeah, you're kind of talking based on what you see on the field. When you go back on the field, I think there was 5 plays that cost us that football game on defense. I thought we played incredibly hard. At the time, you're like, all right, how is that happening? Right? It's not like the NFL where you get iPads and you can go back and look at exactly how it happened.
Sure.
Or you get pictures. You don't get that in college football. So you can see it, you can listen, you can talk. Everybody's got their perspective. But then when you actually go back through the film and you see what actually happened, there were 5 true plays that we didn't play really well on, and that was disappointing. Other than that, I thought we played incredibly hard. If you take away 5 big plays, it's a completely different game. But the big plays are counted in that, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do our job on those, and it was just one guy breaking down in coverage, one miscommunication here and there, and we just didn't get enough pressure on the quarterback. And when we did get pressure on the quarterback like this, they go up and make a play on a 50-50 ball. So you got to give them a lot of credit. They're a really good football team. But our guys are figuring it out. They're disappointed. They're not discouraged. And I think there's a big difference.
And when you talk about Dalen Wright, has he understood the message or what's been relayed to him? And then what does that mean for the rest of the team, or what does that show the rest of the team?
Well, we'll find out. Everybody gets treated fairly. Not everybody's treated equally. Everybody comes from different backgrounds. But there is a high standard of what we have, both on the field and off the field. And if somebody's not going to do that, then there's, football's a reward. As I've always believed that. I'm always going to believe that. And that's the one thing that, that you have as a coach with leverage of saying, okay, well, you're not going to play. Dylan's a wonderful person. He works really hard. We all make mistakes. But again, doesn't mean that you don't pay the consequences of those mistakes. And he responded back today, and it was good to have him back and responded really well.
Let's talk about Mr. Mississippi. Justin Wally comes in with a lot of fanfare a year ago, plays a lot of meaningful football for a year ago, makes some plays as well. What have you seen from him in year two as he now even plays a bigger role for you?
Well, I think that's exactly what you just said. He plays a bigger role for us, right? So when you're playing a bigger role, there's a few things that are going to happen. One, you're going to get opportunities to make a ton more plays, which he is. And then there's going to be times that you're going to fail and you're going to need to grow really quickly. And I think we've seen that development from him over the course of the last few weeks, is the ability to respond in huge moments. And I think that's the biggest steps forward that he's been able to take, are those from failings to be able to continue to grow.
If I remember right from last year, he's a guy that does have a short memory, it seems like. If he gets beat, he doesn't let it bother him the next play. Is that kind of continued?
It's exactly who he is as a person. You have to have a short memory, and your short-term memory's got to be really bad in a way that when you play corner at this level, because there's going to be times you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat, right? But it's how you respond to that. People are going to make plays. You're going against some of the best players in the country. They're going to make a play on you. But the one thing I love about Justin Wally is his memory.
He's 50 first dates.
It is.
50
it
first
is.
Dates.
In fact, Coach Paul Haynes probably feels like that sometimes. And it's a good way to feel, because he is so confident, and he is a really good football player.
I would kind of consider myself a numbers guy. I don't know how much of an analytics guy I would consider myself, because I think there's nuance and context to everything. However, in the first 4 games that you guys won, you had a 78% conversion on third down. In the last 3 games, you're at 25%. Yep. How much of a difference has that made, and how much of an impact does that really have in a game, considering the outcome that you've had in those numbers, the stark contrast in those numbers?
Well, I think there's always a reason why you're not winning, and that's what we need to focus on. I think one of it is the ability to make big plays when they present themselves. We haven't been able to do that consistently over the last few weeks. But then we're also setting up, third and longs. If you look at the first 4 games, we had third and manageable for the most part. And if we did have a third and long, we broke a run, somehow got it down the field, and we moved the chains. But we had really third and manageable for the first 4 games because we were so efficient on first and second down. Over the last 2 weeks, we have lacked efficiency on first and second down, which have set up a lot of third and longs, which I don't care who you are and what team you play for. If you're in third and long a lot, it's going to be a long day.
And when you're looking at Rutgers, talking about that, looking at first and second down, and you know what kind of team you're facing, you're very familiar with the coaching staff over there. What does that conversation look like with whoever's going to play quarterback as far as being super efficient on first and second down with the ball?
Well, it starts with who's going to play quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. And we're a little bit in a holding pattern, basically with the medical team. And I think that's a little hard place. It's a hard place to be. It's an uncomfortable place to be, because you're designing a game plan for possibilities that could or could not happen. Both guys do things well, and then they also have advantages over the other person. So, Kirk's doing a really good job of that. We're very familiar with their staff, very, very familiar with their defensive football. It's the same system as what we have. Obviously, they made a few tweaks to that. They're a very disciplined team, play incredibly tough. But we've just got to be better on first and second down and execute better and really be a little bit more balanced.
That's where I wanted to go a little bit, because Joe Harris-Simiak, your old safeties coach, co-defensive coordinator, now is the defensive coordinator there. We obviously know Greg Schiano is going to have a hand in whatever's run there. Yep. So is it Joe Harris-Simiak's defense? Is it Greg Schiano's defense? Is it Joe Rossi's defense? Is it a combination of all of them? And how much do you know about it if that's the case?
Yeah, I don't know enough about it, but it looks like it's a combination of all of it. But I would say it's a little bit more. I think Joe's having a lot of success. Joe's a really good football coach. And one thing I know about Greg, he's going to allow him to keep growing. And, he's a great communicator, and Greg's even commented on that. So I'm sure that he's – they let their offensive coordinator go almost 2 weeks ago, right? So I'm sure Greg's on that side of the ball a little bit more. And so I'm sure Joe has earned the right to be able to have it a little bit more his. But they're so defensive-minded there that you can see it's pretty much all of them as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And a reminder, the Gophers return home after last couple of games on the road. They're going to be back home at Huntington Bank Stadium to take on Rutgers at 1:30 this Saturday. We'll discuss that game a little bit further later in the show, but when we come back, we have a very special story to bring all of you. A very young Gopher football fan overcoming the odds. That is coming up next on the PJ Fleck Show.
Row the boat. You're watching the PJ Fleck Show.
Welcome back to the PJ Fleck Show, everybody. So often we are reminded that the relationship between fans and players is a very special bond. And as our own Courtney Godfrey tells us, one member of the Gopher football family, one special fan, has brothers that are going to last a lifetime.
Congratulations on your new heart, Meg. That's major.
It's not hard to understand the bond.
Just know the team is always with you, and we truly love you, little sister.
When you understand the battle.
I just felt like my heartbeat, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is happening to me? Like what is like that beating?
12-year-old Megan Wagner feeling a healthy heart beating in her chest for the first time since her battle with cancer began.
Knowing that someone graciously, in a time of hardship for another family, was willing to donate their heart to us, their child's heart to us, is something that we will forever be grateful for.
A 4-year fight that this Maple Grove family got through thanks to a special connection they made with P.J. Fleck and his wife Heather.
She was pretty sick and was on life support, intubated for about 8 days, and Heather sat with me for probably 25 hours that week. She was by my side nonstop.
While Megan beat cancer, the chemotherapy did a number on her heart. Constantly in and out of the hospital, Gopher football gave her something to look forward to.
You know, the Row the Boat is all about that too, right? You just keep moving, you keep going, you always have your oar in the water, and you surround yourself with good people.
Now 2 weeks post-transplant, Megan knows she has more battles ahead, but she'll do it with a little help.
They're my second family, and I'm forever grateful.
From her friends.
Sending loves and hugs. P.S. You're my hero.
And that was Courtney Godfrey reporting. PJ, you obviously have a very special relationship with this young lady. What has it been like to see her go through what she has gone through, only to get to the other side?
That's hard to watch, right? And we've known her for a long time. Heather has such a relationship with her and her family, and she's really a member of the Fleck family. You just imagine, we all get caught up, and I know we all get paid to win, and I get that part. But when you talk about what the relationship Megan and her family have with our football team, that young lady had beat cancer once. The chemo basically destroyed her heart, had heart failure, has had a backpack on her back pumping her heart for the last few years. And then she got cancer again. People told her she wouldn't survive because her heart wasn't strong enough to even overcome that. She fought right through that. And now another family is missing their child, and that heart now goes into Megan. And you can see how grateful she is to be around. That's what Row the Boat's all about. You know, I know that our football team, we haven't won in a few weeks. She's been that story for 4 years. Sometimes we all need just a little bit of perspective in our life, and that brings it. And if it doesn't, you're not a human being. And there are hundreds of stories like that we see on a yearly basis. But Megan, Heather, I've become so close with her family, and we have the same dog. They're actually they're brother and sister, and Megan's just our hero. And I know I speak for Heather and our entire team that she is our hero. She's a member of our family, and we're just so proud of her.
From what I understand, sorry to cut you off real quick, but from what I understand, Megan considers Heather kind of a second mom, so to speak.
Heather is very involved with Megan and all that Megan wants to do for her charity, and same with Braxton. And you know, Heather's got a huge, huge heart, and she sometimes when you get involved with the Children's Hospital and you're about Row the Boat, you get a lot of stories, and sometimes you want to be able to keep your distance because you're going to get so connected to so many, and it's really some aren't going to make it and some are, but you can't live like that. You got to connect to as many as you possibly can, and Heather does an amazing job of doing that. She's incredibly selfless. She's got a huge heart, and the Wagners are a very special family to us, our Gopher family, hopefully our fans with that story, and then our personal family.
And I think this shirt, actually, you said goes to the proceeds from the shirt goes to the Children's Hospital with anything Row the Boat.
Yeah, anything Row the Boat that gets sold, anything gets bought, anything that's at Shields, anything Waggle, anything Unreal, anything that you see, all that money goes to the Children's Hospital. It helps the families like the Wagners, not necessarily for the research, but the families who have to take time away from their jobs and to be around their kid. And that's what it supplements. And so everybody support Row the Boat. That's where it goes to. It doesn't go to us. It goes to that children's hospital. So thanks for supporting.
Yeah, and I had to fight back the tears. I've been in the hospital like that, watching somebody get chemo. It's a tough process to do that. And for 4 years, I did it for 2, and watching a kid go through it is even worse when they can't express what's going on. But how do you help 18 to 22-year-old men do what they do, which is write letters, understand the compassion? Because I don't know if I was that compassionate at 18. Like, how was that, walk with them?
Well, I think that when you're educating young people, you're not showing them to be like, oh, and have them feel sorry for themselves or her. You're doing it to show that everybody has an issue. You have an issue, and you can overcome your issue. Whatever it is, and whatever somebody's going through, if you just keep rowing the boat, you will get through it, and you will be better for it somehow, some way. Even though it hurts now, that's what it's teaching them. It's not to sit there and go, oh, I shouldn't feel bad about my own issues today because she's going through that. Because whatever issue we have, somebody's got it worse. But it does bring into focus whatever our issue is. Let's find help. Let's get through it, and let's not take our oar out of the water. So whether it's losing 3 games in a row, that's a big issue to some fans. Whether it's going through the heart condition like Megan has, we all have our issues. But that doesn't mean one's more valuable than the other. It just means we all have something, and we can all get through it.
What's it been like for Heather, for you, for the team, to be able to go back into the hospital after COVID? I mean, I don't think people realize you weren't able to do the hospital visits. You weren't able to have Hope Kids come by for Halloween like they're doing this week. I mean, just what kind of impact has that had on everybody to be able to do it again?
Well, we're over at Masonic. We're over there at the Ronald McDonald House. Our players have actually gone to some hospitals that are, children's hospice care, which is on another level, right? But again, it's being able to teach young people your life is about making other people's lives better. And if you do that, life's going to reciprocate. Your life will be better because you're making somebody else's life better. And hopefully those are the values they learn from this program.
It was certainly a special story. And Megan, if you are watching, we are so very thankful that you are doing so much better. And we hope to see you on the sidelines at some point soon at Huntington Bank Stadium.
So proud of you.
When we come back, more on the PJ Fleck Show. We'll key in on some of these key contributors that we've seen so far this season for the University of Minnesota. We'll talk some of these big-time players for the U. That's next.
Back to the PJ Fleck Show. Let's row the boat.
Rolling right along here on the PJ Fleck Show. Let's take a look at some of these key contributors that we've seen not only in the Penn State but all season long. Let's start with a guy who has been on this set before, Mariano Sori-Marin, who had 15 total tackles against Penn State. He leads the team in tackles at 54. Coach, is there any other way to describe him as just a tackling machine? This guy just has a motor that just doesn't want to seem to stop.
He's an ultimate football player, an ultimate competitor. I know that he wants to play better. He had a bunch of tackles, but Mariano's the guy that'll focus on what he didn't do, right? And he'll take those 2 plays and he'll be like, I need to be better in those 2 plays. But he's one of the best linebackers, I think, in the Big Ten, just in terms of, especially in run support. And he loves the game. He's incredibly smart. He's the leader of our defense, gets everybody lined up, and I'm glad he's on our team.
And when you look at the slot, talk about Brevin Span Forward. I think I'm the leader of the Span Forward, other than his parents, the fan club. At 6'7", 270 pounds, in my opinion, this kid can do anything. Fade routes, slant routes. You see him run the hook. I love the throw from Calic Manis, that quick just zip. Even though it's simple, it's like you can see the speed, you can see the throw, you can see his catch. How much has he grown and how much better can he become?
The sky's the limit for this man. And, he's still got another year of eligibility, which I'm sure he'll make a decision at the end of the year. But he's gotten so much better in the run support, which he's always been a really athletic athlete. He's played basketball. He was a really good basketball player in high school. And we even know, is he going to get big enough? Will he be? Now he's 270 pounds, so that answered that question, right? But he's a great basketball player. The challenge to him this year was being able to be consistent in the catching and then being able to play above the rim when the ball's thrown up there. His catch radius had to get bigger. And now you see him working underneath. You see him on the outside. See him over the middle. He can play as small, and I mean small in a way that's really good. He can play like a slot receiver. And do some of the things that smaller guys can do, but he can also play as a big tight end, and that's definitely helped our offense grow.
Do you have to spend a practice over at Huntington Bank Stadium this week to refamiliarize yourself with the place? It's been a while since you've been at home. The Purdue game feels like months ago.
I know.
We've had a whiteout in there. We've had Illinois in there. We've had a bye in there. Is it just nice to be back home?
Think about how far New Mexico State feels. That feels like years ago, right? But that's the football season. We're going to be really excited to get back in front of our home fans. I know that, and I know our fans are going to support us and somehow find a way to lead this team to victory.
Is there a way to kind of something that you look for maybe on the first drive that indicates to you your team is the nerves are calm, like everybody's focused? Is it something you want to see, particularly early on in the game?
I just want to see us start fast. I mean, when we do that, we're a really good football team. When we don't, we struggle at times. And, you're always constantly learning about what characteristics you have of a football team. And with this team, we need to start fast. This is a very, very high character football team. They've all been through a lot. They've all overcome a lot, and they're not in unfamiliar territory. So I don't worry about them that way. But we need to execute, and we need to execute way earlier.
When you talk about the coaches, I mean, everybody forgets how important coaches' conversations are. What have you told the coaches this week going into this game?
Oh, respond. Find solutions, period. Coach, respond, find solutions. It's not that hard. We're a solution-driven program. We're always playing people who get paid, right, and are on scholarship. So you're constantly finding solutions. And you have data of 7 games now. What are we really good at? What aren't we? How have people exposed us? We've exposed people, too. So it's a copycat league. Whatever you saw last week, you're probably going to see again, and we need to be ready for it.
And I heard you tell JG, though, that Greg Schiano ran across the field. Have you had to do that to a coach?
Have I done that before, or had I do it this week?
No, before.
Of course. I was a little younger and hungrier back then as a younger guy at 32, 33 years old. Maybe faster. Maybe I'd do it now. I just don't get there as fast. And they've already moved on to the next play.
All right, a reminder, the Golden Gophers take on Rutgers this Saturday, 1:30 kickoff at Huntington Bank Stadium. We certainly look forward to that game. We'll bring you the very latest on that game Saturday night on Sports Now. Thank you so much for joining us here on the PJ Fleck Show, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the PJ Fleck Show.